Now that the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra is out for 2 weeks, I've been testing it, using it, and really going in depth with a lot of my videos around performance, camera, usage, software features, upgrades, because there are actually downgrades as well included. And the more I'm using this phone and putting my thoughts in the full review, because I really want to make sure to have covered everything, I started to realize that this is going to be the impossible review for so many reasons. So in today's video, I want to show you a mind map, a thought process that I created to kind of help you out. Like, do you need this phone? So coming from the different phones or perspectives, and also try to give you kind of a decision matrix with some weighted score based on the very famous 5 pillars: build quality, battery performance, camera and display, invented by the man himself, NQBHD. And I'm going to show you a mechanism for you to work with this around if you want to use it. Again, it's not science, guys, it's just some basic thoughts, but I put this for a few minutes to try to understand, like, hey, do you need this phone? Is it good to have? Is it nice to have? Is it a must to have? So let's start with this thing here. It's buy the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now, basically, I see 3 main options. So you either own a Samsung phone already, or you own another Android phone, or you're team Apple. And of course, you do use an iPhone. So let's start with the first one. If you do own a Samsung phone, if you do have an S23 or S24 Ultra, probably you can skip it. It's not really a major upgrade. It just has a new 50 megapixel ultra wide camera. You know, it's the same batteries, the same display with some nice new coating. And of course, the physical design is different, but you can probably skip it and it's gonna be safe choice. If you do own an S20 Ultra or S21 Ultra or S23 Ultra, I'm just thinking possibly you can skip it unless you really need to change or want to change your phone, because the price tag is on the higher tier. But if you do own an older than S20 Ultra phone and you're a Samsung fan, then yes, go for it, okay? So again, you might do your own version. I probably just put the link down below, just you can edit it, but I'm just trying to give you a framework to make a more informed decision. Hey, should I do it? Now, it's a bit more complicated with the second choice, because if you don't own another Android phone, there are plenty of options, but I kind of grouped them into this. Yes, I do have a Chinese phone, or yes, I do have a Pixel phone. And I realized there are things like HMD and Motorola and all of that. Well, okay, let's just go for the main choices here. So if you do own a Chinese phone, and if you have a recent flagship that is based on the Gen 1 or 2 or 3, and you have a good camera, I'm just thinking possibly skip it unless you really need or want to go to Samsung, because there are many benefits. One of them being, of course, One UI 7 that is just outstanding with so many features. You might want to check my videos. I really cover everything. Then, guys, if you do own a Chinese older flagship, but still with a good camera, you know, like one of the old Ultras, and you know, it's rooted or not rooted and using Gcam, and you know, you should roll. Yeah, why not? You can go for it. But then it's an old phone and the battery is not holding charge and you're pissed with the performance, can't play the latest game. Yes, go for it. Now, what about having a Pixel phone? So if you do have a recent Pixel like 8 Pro and 9 Pro, possibly skip it, guys, unless again you really want to try the new S25 Ultra. If you do have an older Pixel phone, given the fact that Tensor is not the best for performance, if performance is, you know, high on your chart, and you're going to see later my decision matrix with the weights, right, go for it. And now, guys, this is very interesting. What about owning an Apple iPhone and considering buying the S25 Ultra? So if you do have the iPhone 15 Pro Max or 16 Pro Max, first question is, do you really want to try Android? Most probably the answer, if you ask an iPhone user, is no. Then okay, just get an iPhone, use your iPhone. But if you're very curious, go for it, all right? You can go for it because again, the S25 Ultra One UI 7 is really gonna be familiar with a lot of the iPhone users out there, iOS users out there. And this is Samsung trick to just get people off boredom from Apple ecosystem and boom, get them into Samsung. What about the situation where you do have an iPhone, but it's like a 14 Pro Max or 13 and 12? It's the same question, guys. Do you really wanna try Android? If you do, please, you know, be our guest. No, if you don't want, if you just want to stay on iOS, just use your iPhone or get a new iPhone. Anything older than 12 Pro Max, it's probably just get the latest iPhone, guys, or just go, you know, if you want to really change to Android, just go for the S25 Ultra. So I understand that this can be pretty much like an infinite matrix, but those are the main 3 obvious choices. And now guys, to put a bit more of a perspective, I'm gonna show you the scoring table that I created based on the 5 pillars. That is the build quality, the battery, the performance, the camera, and display. So now guys, how does this work? Let me just fill you in on this framework, and then I'm gonna share some of the results and show you how you can just tweak it according to really what matters to you. So let's say that I believe that build quality should be really top in all the premium phones. So the weights are between 1 to 5. So let's say when I assign something or a category to 1, this means that this category doesn't really mean so much to me, doesn't really matter so much to me. So the scoring system is between 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest scores. Again, those are the things that don't really matter so much to me, and 5 is something I really need to have. Build quality is an absolute must for me. If I'm spending that crazy amount of US dollars, I want just to have the best. So I have attributed 5, the highest way, to the build quality. Number 4, all right, this is just next after the build quality, is the camera, because I am a very heavy camera user. I want to take out my camera, shoot my kids, my pets and cars and everything. All right, so for me, camera is very important, hence I have assigned the weight of 4. Next is the display, guys, because we're spending hours with those devices and some of them might hurt your eyes, so it's very important, and I assigned the weight of 3. Then, guys, I put performance as 2 because although I do game occasionally on my phone and try to do also emulation in gaming, you might want to check GTA 5 on the S25 Ultra. I'm just thinking, yeah, that's just not so important because I've used Pixel phones, never suffered dramatically from the Tensor chips. So I assigned it A2. And last but not least, I assigned the weight 1 to battery because I kind of assume if it's a premium phone, the battery should really be almost a full day battery, if not even more. So then, guys, how does it work? Based on the mind map I showed you before, if you do own a Samsung phone, basically you can either have the S23 Ultra or S24 Ultra, S20 Ultra, 21, 22 Ultra, or let's say a very old Samsung phone older than S20 Ultra. And now, this is how the system works. If I do have an S23 Ultra or S25 Ultra, I would assign between 1 to 5 on each individual quality. So let's say for build quality, I've assigned the maximum score. So the maximum score is 5, the lowest score is 1, because again, build quality matters to me. What about the battery, guys? I think the battery is very important. So although you might see I have just put 1 as weight, I put a score of 4. Performance also very important, so I put a score 4 on performance. Camera, let's say, okay, camera, I put a weight on 3 because again, I know it's very important, but I think 3 is just good enough. I mean, it's a premium phone overall. And then, guys, I put a 4 score to the display. And guys, now, how do I get the final score of 61? Because if you sum it up, you're gonna see it's 20. Well, this is the beauty of this. It's a weighted score, guys. So I do multiply each score to the weight that I've assigned. So let's say for the build quality, I have 5 by 5 is 25. For the battery quality, I've assigned 4, but the weight is 1, so it's going to be 1 multiplied by 4. This is pretty much the same logic. So if we take the camera, I've indicated 3, and then the weight is 4, so it's 4 by 3. And now you're going to see why this is important, because I got an overall score of 61 if you do own S23 Ultra or S24 Ultra. Then what about having an older phone like S20, 21, 22? The scores are very similar, but now I've downgraded the build quality to 4, and it's not because it's, let's say, lesser quality. It's because with time, maybe I have some scratches, maybe I'm not happy with the way it looks like, or maybe you just don't like the build quality. I downgraded the battery, to 3 because again, it's like 2, 3, 4 years old, maybe it's not holding charge. The performance same, it's not using the latest chip, so maybe you're not able to play, your favorite Android games. The camera also put to 3 because again, it's being used for so much and maybe, you don't get the latest sensors. Although with Samsung, you know how it goes. We have almost the same camera setup in the last 3 years. And then, guys, the display I put also to 3 because maybe you don't have the brightness display, cannot get this high needs big brightness. So when I weighted the score for having an S20, 21 or 22 Ultra, then I'm getting a score of 50. And you can see how it goes with an older Samsung phones, the scores are dropping. So when I weighted them, I end up having 35. And I applied the same logic with all the other Android phones. So if you do have a recent Chinese flagship phone with Agent 1 to Agent 3 and a good camera, guys, then, those are the ways that I'm getting. If you do have an older flagship, but still with a good camera, then, I'm getting this result. And then it's the same also with the Pixel 8 Pro and 9 Pro and an older Pixel. And you can just see, to maintain some accuracy, I use the same scores everywhere, guys. If you do have the iPhone 15 Pro Max or 16 Pro Max, the build quality is 5, the battery and the performance is 4, the camera is 3, then the display is 4, and I'm getting the same score, 61, the same as if you would be using an S23 Ultra or S23 Ultra. Now, the beauty in this, guys, is that you can go and you can decide, hey, VST, why do you put a 5 weight on the build quality? I don't like 5. So you can change it, you can put 3 here. And this is going to change your overall weighted score, all right? Or let's say you agree with my weights, but then you say, hey, your scores are crap. So why did you put a 5 score on the build quality? I'm gonna go and put a 2. Or let's say, why did you downgrade the camera to 3? I think the S23 Ultra has almost the same camera, so I'm just gonna go with 5. And you can see every time you adjust, the weights and the scores, you're getting a different weighted scores. Again, so you don't really have to follow my guidelines or my ideas. You don't even have to share my ideas or opinions. I'm just here to show you what I think and give you the framework, give you the mechanism, guys. And it gets interesting because now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do it Samsung. So why do these scores matter? Because if we have to take a perfect premium smartphone, so we have build quality, we have battery, performance, camera, and display, then what I'm going to be doing, guys, I'm going to be assigning this perfect virtual, like this probably doesn't exist, but anyway, I'm going to assign scores of 5 everywhere. So the perfect non-existing smartphone will have a score of 5 for the build quality, a score of 5 for the battery, performance, camera, and display, everything set to 5, which means that, yeah, it's going to get a score of 75. And again, this is using my weights, but it's going to work for my system. So the best score with my criteria on all these 5 important smartphone pillars for a non-existing, virtually perfect smartphone is 75. So with the S23 Ultra and S24 Ultra, I'm getting like 61. With the S20 Ultra, S21 and S22, I'm getting, 50. And with everything that is older than the S20 Ultra, I'll be getting 35. And then you see, like, is it really worth it, guys? So if I do have a phone that is scoring 61, all right, and the perfect phone for me is like 75, so like, should I spend that amount of money? Yeah, maybe, if you're really an enthusiast. What about having a phone that has 50? Is 75 too much? It's not the double, right? So you can see, guys, like using mechanisms like this, a very simple mind map will give you the option to make a more informed decision, but always just go and try to weighten things out. And I really hope that this video is going to be helpful and I can probably share those things online if people want to use them for themselves. So why not? Then maybe, guys, you can find this to be helpful. Anyway, guys, if you have liked this video, just go and watch some of my older videos. I really go in depth on everything that I use. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay safe, VST over, and bye.